regarded Al as a friend. And so I think it's very appropriate that Al is here to address us at this time, and I'd like you to join with me in warmly welcoming him.
O te whakalo whātu i mamaru mani pa ia o whātasi mai i tūpu na te māriki o le atupuki ma rarotonga nei i le whionga o le ali pānamia Ministar Malo. I le tina matua o māturi, ma le ai ngā li, paolo mawhafa ese ese. Sui sufono ma o mawhana around mamaji, ma e tunu ese ese o lalangi. Ma lo soifua. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, katoa. At my age, I weep very easily. You're quite free to weep with me as I try and get through this monologue. It is wonderful to be in the healing warmth of these beautiful islands, in the loving warmth of Ron and Margie's ahinga and community. In the generous company of Ron's friends from all around the world. And to see Tata, Kevin, and Nari, who I haven't seen for many years. Garden 27, in memory of Ron Crocombe. On Monday, while the sun was out, Raina weeded the pot plants on the back deck and stripped the dead leaves and branches off the palms and shrubs. Once again, our garden is neat and singing in the language of new flowers. A few weeks ago, while we were in France, my son Michael emailed to say Ron had collapsed and died in the airport bus on his way to catch the plane home to the Cooks. He had been at a meeting in Topa. We got back too late for his memorial service in Auckland. I've known Ron and Margie since 1973, when they had persuaded me to come and work at the Lauthala Bay campus of the USP. We shifted to Lauthala into the Crocombe's abundant alofa, and Ron's example of never giving in to injustice, inequality, and colonial bullying. I thought Ron would always be there, despite the changes in the seasons. This morning, Raina cut the two blossoms off the orchid and vased them on the kitchen windowsill, where they now preen in their brilliant white and red brooches. That poem is from a long sequence of poems I've been writing for the last 2 years. The series is called Garden, and it's focused on our little garden in our backyard in Ponsonby in Auckland. In a quite condensed way, the poem says more about Ron and how I feel about him than anything else I'm going to say. I didn't know Ron by any other name. It's a very Kiwi thing, shortening names of blokes. Very male and blokish. But though Ron came out of the tough depths of the king country, he was not a bloke or blokish. In fact, in my reading, Ron ran away from that as fast as possible. When we ask the question, who was Ron, our answers will all be different. And those versions will depend on who we are and where we are at in our lives. And if, like today, it is to be a public version, the version will be carefully edited to suit the audience. Memory is also, as you know, very unreliable, so keep those in mind while you listen to my version of Ron. I knew Ron was shortened for Ronald, but considered Ronald too wishy-washy and flabby a name for the always direct, always lean, always smartly logical, rational, and fearless intellectual and mentor I came to know, admire, and love. I didn't even know his second name was Gordon until I was writing this speech, and on Googling his name, found Gordon. Everywhere I went on this planet, everyone referred to him as Ron. You can almost say Ron's three-letter name became one of the most well-known brands in the field of Pacific Studies, a field he forged, taught, wrote about, and fought for. For Ron, that field was not simply an area of academic research and study. The Pacific was that location of islands, sea, peoples, and cultures he loved, championed, and helped. It became the location of his heart and center, or should I say, that location became his center. I graduated from Victoria University in 1963 and returned to teach at Samoa College. Before returning to Samoa, I published a few stories in New Zealand magazines and journals and was writing my first novels. I think that's how Ron and Margie came to know me first. I can't remember when I first started corresponding with them, but it could have begun while Ron and Margie were in Papua New Guinea. They were interested in my writing. When they shifted to the USP and started the South Pacific Creative Arts Society, our correspondence became more regular. When my first novel, Sons for the Return Home, was published in 1973, their interest became more intense. I became more interested in their work and that of the University of the South Pacific. Subtly and not so subtly, they showed they were keen on my shifting to work at the university. In those days, there were very few Pacifica academics or graduates. And one of the things I warmed to was the Crocombe's obvious aim to decolonize and indigenize the USP staff and build up a university that reflected the cultures and realities of the indigenous Pacific. And as all of you know, once Ron wanted to do something he believed in, he was virtually unstoppable. That, of course, he was trying to do in the still dreadful colonial context of those times. And it did not endear Ron to colonial academics